Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for day number 14 of my 31 Days of Horror, almost at the halfway mark now. Today's movie is one that I had seen once before, and the last time I checked out this movie was so long ago. And the first time I watched it, I remembered not really digging this one much at all. I was actually quite disappointed by this one, and I'm pretty sure I remember a lot of other people's opinions sort of being the same thing. But today's movie is 2016's The Forest. So yeah, like when I was putting my list together of movies that I wanted to cover for this year's 31 days, I saw this one sitting on the shelf and I went, you know what, like it's been so long since I last checked it out. Yes, I remembered it being not too amazing at all, but I just wanted to see how much my opinion on this movie would change if it had changed at all. So it was exciting to get around to give this one a second chance and see if opinions had changed. And before I get into my thoughts of the second time watching this movie, let's get into the plot for The Forest. So in this one, we follow our lead Sarah, whose twin sister Jess, who has moved to Japan for work, has gone missing. And the last time that she was seen, she went into I'm going to butcher the name of this forest here, but Japan's Aogahara Forest, which is also known as the Suicide Forest, which is actually a real forest in Japan. Its most notable time in pop culture was probably when social media influencer Logan Paul filmed the real life dead body in there, and that video went viral and caused a whole heap of backlash and everything. But yeah, based on a real forest, but that was the last time that her twin sister Jess was seen, so she decides to take a trip to Japan and try and find her because she just believes that, Jess is still alive and hasn't actually taken her life. But once she enters the forest, it sort of becomes a haunted forest situation where the environment is playing tricks on her, and she's in way over her head, and now she is not only trying to find Jess, but also trying to find her own way out and survive. And that's pretty much the plot that we have here for The Forest for 2016, and let's get into my thoughts of it. Like I was saying in my intro, the first time I watched this movie was so long ago, but the things that I remembered about it weren't too positive. I remembered it not really being my thing and being quite disappointed by it. And to not beat around the bush and get straight to the point, my opinions on it haven't really changed too much. If not, this time watching the movie, I probably enjoyed it less. Like I said, it was so long between, so maybe it wasn't as dramatic of a drop, but honestly, this was quite a chore and a bit of a slug to get through. It's not like an abomination of a movie, it's not completely unwatchable, but easily my least favourite watch of this year's 31 days so far. But I guess I'll start off with some positives, because as I said, it's not completely unwatchable. There were a few things that I like, but only a handful, so I guess we'll start with them. First of all, I really like that we're following an American in Japan. Like normally when you're watching a movie that takes place in a foreign country, again just keeping Japan as the example here, it's because you're watching a Japanese movie and the characters that you're following are also Japanese. So even though it feels foreign to me, who's never been to Japan or these other countries or whatever, it feels less fish out of water because all the characters are from there, and it feels a bit more comforting and whatever. Here in this movie, Sarah has never been to Japan before, going on this trip to find her twin sister. So I like that fish out of water element. Like it very much reminded me of like Sarah Michelle Gellar in the American Grudge remake. It sort of had that vibe to it. Also really liked the setting of the forest, and I liked the aesthetic and the vibe and the feel of it. I really liked the presentation and the way that it looked and everything like that. I know it's probably a little bit taboo for some people, the fact that it's based on a real forest where there have been plenty of real life situations of people going in there to end their lives. Like I said, it's a forest with plenty of actual lore and everything, so I'm sure there are people that heard the concept for this movie and knowing what it's based on, it probably rubbed them the wrong way. But I do like that they've made a movie about it and you already have so much lore that is built into it, and you can just build on that with the movie. So I really liked the setting, and I really liked the idea of this haunted forest and how it's playing tricks on you. It felt very what's the haunted hotel movie? 1408, that's a Stephen King adaptation, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, it sort of felt like that. Like in 1408, you've got the hotel room playing tricks on our lead. It's very similar to what's going on here in the forest, but except that movie does it 10 times better. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the positives going on in this movie. Because like I said, the rest of it was kind of a chore to get through. A lot of this movie just kind of feels like I said, you have a cool concept of a real life forest where unfortunately a lot of tragic things happen. And like I said, I really like the lore and the story that is built there, which the movie's not really doing much of because, as I said, the blueprints of it are there and you add a movie on top. And it feels like the things that they added on top are just typical horror movie cliches, unimpactful jump scares. It feels like you've taken the suicide forest from Japan and gone into Chat GBT and just said, make a horror movie out of this, and this is what it spat out. The opening of this movie feels like extremely crammed. Like within maybe 10 minutes, you get the whole sister has gone missing, what type of person Jess was, where she's disappeared to, what the suicide forest is. You get a quick explanation of that. Explaining this twin thing, which keeps coming up, and every time Sarah talks about this twin thing and how, because that's her reason for going there, she goes, we have this twin thing, I just know that Jess is still alive and stuff like that, but every time she talks it up, it's so fucking annoying and cringy and whatever. But you get all this cramming in the first 10 minutes and it feels like overload. And sometimes that can work in a movie, but here it feels like way too much. And especially when, you could be like, okay, it seems like they're rushing to get us into the forest, and maybe that's why they're cramming it all in the first 10 minutes. But no, like, once she gets to Japan, there's still a lot of fucking about before she goes into the forest, and it feels like, okay, like, you could have used this time to build up more of what you crammed in that first 10 minutes and expand on it a little bit more and give it more time to like flower and blossom and go, okay, now I'm understanding it. But in that first 10 minutes, they cram so much in. And like I said, the movie really doesn't get much better from there. The lead in this movie, like, I don't really like to attack acting and performances too much, especially because they could fucking act circles around me. And I'm pretty sure this actress, Natalie Dormer, like, she's done some like really cool work, through her career and whatever, but she just feels very bland and uninspired in this movie, and I'm sure it's got a lot to do with the script, and she's doing her best with what's there, but her character just feels very like just monotone, and I'm like, not really someone I feel like following. Yeah, I don't know, there's just not a lot going in this movie that like kept me drawn in, and like I said, I was just sort of waiting for the credits to come, and I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't even finish this movie in one sitting, and that's not something that I do a lot. It got about to the halfway mark, and some of my mates messaged me, and they were down at the pub having a few beers, and normally I'd say I'll come once this movie's over, but I'm like, fucking yeah, I need a beer, so I had to like hit this pause, go have a few beers, come back. And speaking of beers, actually, there's a scene where characters are in a pub in this movie, and someone gets served a beer with the biggest fucking head on it. If I got served that beer, I would have fucking sent it back, like, as if he fucking took that and drank it still. It was fucking ridiculous. But either way, like, I had to, like, tap out and go and have a few beers and come back to this movie, and even after a few beers, it didn't make the second half of it a lot smoother. Like I said, so much time has been between the first time watching it and second time, and I can't remember, like, if it's that big of a drop-off, but yeah, this was, like, a really hard one to get through. Like I said, easily my least favourite movie of this year's 31 Days lineup so far. What I will say is the ending twist was dark, and, it went into a territory again that could leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth, but I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck, at least the ending was impactful enough, and I kind of dug that. But yeah, like, this movie, just not a lot going for it. It was quite a hard one to get through. I'm going to give The Forest from 2016 a 3.5 out of 10. Yeah, easily my lowest rated movie so far for my 31 days. And honestly, probably a thing that makes it feel so much harder to get through and made it probably even worse of a watch this time around is the fact that this year's 31 days lineup has been a pleasure to sit through. Like, all 13 days before this one, yeah, there were some movies that weren't quite my thing or didn't completely click with me, but I feel like the 13 days prior to today, day number 14, have been... I've loved doing the 31 days so far, so this one was like the first one that felt like a genuine chore, and I was like, ugh, this is just not a great time, but swallowed the pill, and hopefully tomorrow's day number 15 which I know what movie it is. Hopefully I get a bit more fun out of it, and it's a better experience for me. But thank you for joining me for day number 14. If you have a different opinion on The Forest, let me know your thoughts of it in the comments below. But either way, I'll see you tomorrow for day number 15. Peace, guys.